Hey everybody, this is Bevin. Welcome to Bevin, a femme over 40 and her friends podcast. I'm your host, Bevin. I've said my name 3 times. It's time to start the show. This episode is a solo episode for those of you who like the solos. It is a life update for those of you who like life updates. And honestly, like I kind of want to call it a miracle report because I've had several miracles stitched together recently. But the last time I did an episode where I was like, "What's bringing me joy lately?" That was a few months ago. I didn't get very many views on it, and I was like, maybe people don't want to hear about my joy. And I will also say I'm going to start a, business in the front. I have had some heartbreak too, some big, actual, huge heartbreak I can't even talk about publicly. But like I was driving around with my heart broken for a while, and even talking about it with my therapist today, it was like kind of, getting in there and scraping the scraping the barnacles off that broken heart. So I will say like it's been a mixed bag. Things have been a mixed bag, but I really try. I mean, the only thing I can choose in life is my attitude, and very few other things are actually in my control. And I want to choose a good attitude, and I want to choose to see the positive and the things that are working well for me and with me without bypassing and cruising past the stuff that doesn't work. You know what I mean? Like a rigorous honesty. I talk about that a lot in this podcast about self-trust and honesty and being willing to see life as it is, but also not accepting that necessarily, accepting it from an attitude no place, but like not settling, you know. I'm also using a new microphone, a new to me microphone. A friend of mine moved away from town and had this is like it's fancier looking than the one that I already have. It has like one of those little screen things. Is it better when I'm closer? I don't know. We'll see. It's like bigger and more dominant in my space, and it is frankly covering up part of my outfit, and I don't like it. So, you tell me if you're an audio listener, write me, fatkiddanceparty@gmail.com. Tell me how you're liking the audio quality with the new microphone, versus the other one on my standard solo episodes. Okay, so, gosh, there's so much. Where do I start? My little ADHD brain is like going nuts. I will also say it is late. It is 11 p.m. And I don't like I like to joke my personality doesn't turn on till 10 a.m., which is kind of true. And I'm really like not having a personality, like, or maybe I'm having like extra personality this late at night. But I really wanted to talk about this stuff now because I feel like I'm on an eve. As a Christmas Eve baby, I really do know about an eve and the energy of an eve, and how sometimes the anticipation of something can even be um better or more joyful. And so I have a big concert I'm going to tomorrow night, Queen Herbie, who I love so much. I want to say it's been like 5, 6 years of loving Queen Herbie, and I remember exactly how I got introduced to her. My friend Phoenicia, shout out Phoenicia, uh, posted her song Vitamins to our Glowing Goddess Sisterhood server and a Discord server, and I like started listening to it, and then I fell down her rabbit hole, so to speak. That's one of her song names. And I have just loved her so much ever since. I am a member of her Patreon. In fact, I am a member of her Patreon at the highest level because I love and appreciate what she teaches so much, and her whole podcast is great. She is genuinely the person I needed when I was a teen. I've talked about this a little bit on the podcast, but I do wish that I had dropped out of high school and pursued a trade because everything I do with my life does not require the degrees that I have. And beware being talented at academics and like staying on the academic track and getting a bunch of debt and all of that kind of stuff. So, if only Queen Herbie hadn't been in elementary school at the time and could have been my coach and taught me what was possible as an independent artist. But I'm also like making my life and creating my life through avenues and technologies that were definitely not available when I was a teenager. So anyway, but a lot of this episode is going to be about like just pursuing a reality that doesn't exist for you just yet and letting it unfold. And all that to say, I get to go see Queen Herbie for the very first time in person tomorrow night. I tried to get tickets when she was touring last in Seattle. I think this was 2 years ago. They sold out like moments after they were released. And then she announced the second date and also sold out moments after they were released. And I will tell you, I don't like, I am a passenger princess when it comes to buying concert tickets. Like, I do not like to be the one that buys the tickets. I like to be the lucky friend that gets invited to go to the concert. And I have frequently been that lucky friend. And you know what's funny is that I had to like revive my Ticketmaster account in order to buy these Queen Herbie tickets. And I'm in her VIP community. It's her Patreon. I'm in her VIP community, and so I got pre-sale access, which is how I managed to get tickets to the now sold out Seattle show. And I think they were like less expensive. Like I love an artist who gives a break to the deep fans. You know what I mean? Like it is worth the $5 a month to be in the VIP sugar daddy group, and then now I'm in the $25 a month group because you get like behind the scenes tour access. And I just, she's always dropping gems, things that help me with my art. It is always worth my time. Anyway, so Queen Herbie is performing tomorrow night. I revived my Ticketmaster account and I had not used it since like 2008. Like that's how long ago the address was on my Ticketmaster account. I was like, wow, I have been lucking out with other people buying concert tickets for a long time. I also don't necessarily go to a lot of concerts. But Bobby Weir's passing, he was quote the other one in the Grateful Dead, the other kind of like main guy. And he died 11,111 days after Jerry Garcia, which I think is nuts and amazing. And I love the synchronicities of the universe. I do not love that he passed away. It's interesting because as someone who is a psychic medium, like it took me, like I was shocked by it. And like, but when I look back, I was getting signs and I didn't realize what those signs were. And sometimes you don't see the signs until after something happens. I'm not even going to go into it, but there were significant things in my life that I changed as a result of Bobby's passing. So, number one, like I just kind of tripled down on like, you don't know when your favorite artist is going to be able to continue touring. So like I need to start really prioritizing going to see the ones that I know that are my faves. Number two, um, I'm not here to play it cool. And so like I play it warm, I play it hot. Like if I feel passionate about someone or something, I'm gonna go like all in. I love being a fan. I love fan energy. And like I really am sad that I did not get a chance to see him perform live. And what was one of the biggest grief points for me was that I always thought I would get to have a conversation with him. I had like pages of questions for Bobby. And one of my friends is a double Virgo. She's Virgo Sun, Virgo Rising. And I'm a Virgo Rising. And so I like kind of appreciate this, but also like she says things in a real harsh way sometimes. And like when I was processing my grief about Bobby passing, she was like, well, you're a medium. Like you can ask him questions now. And I was like, okay. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't a sensitive way to say it, but then actually like within a couple of weeks of his passing, I was able to start asking him questions. So anyway, um I'll tell you this. We'll go into it. I don't care if you think I'm crazy. If you think I'm crazy at this stuff, like go back in my podcast archives, please. I have someone very close to me who is in Bobby's like I don't know. I want to call it like a soul fraternity. Like it's like a brotherhood of some kind. Anyway, they're in the same soul group, so it was actually quite easy and fast for me to connect to Bobby. Once the shock of the initial grief, I was like sobbing for like 2 weeks, sobbing a lot, and still cry to this day sometimes when I think about it and I'm feeling it. Because there's a lot to process. There's the end of possibilities. You know what I mean? When someone passes, like that part is over. And I was processing my recent heartbreak with my therapist today and talking about the loss of possibilities, the loss of what I thought was going to happen, something I have no control over, that's other people's choices, right? Um, so anyway, it was very easy for me to connect to Bobby, it turns out. So I can get some of those questions answered, but you're not going to hear it the way he would say it. You know what I mean? And like, I love his voice, especially his voice as he aged. Like, I just think it got more soulful. It got a little slower. There's more resonance and a timbre to it, which I just absolutely adored. And then the third thing that really shifted, my experience of life since he passed was, he had a cancer treatment issue thing, but he actually died of underlying lung issues. And I have known for probably like a couple years that I needed to stop smoking cannabis. And I love smoking cannabis. I find it very fun. But like I also knew that it wasn't good for my lungs and I want to be able to teach aerobics and that yelling is part of teaching aerobics for the rest of my life. And so I really slowed it down. I tried all of the mitigation things that I could think to do. I was smoking exclusively like with a mouthpiece with like a filter, using water pipes, that kind of thing, like things where you mitigate the smoke. But it even vapes, like none of it is good for my lungs. And so I have just stopped. Other than like I can do it once. This is my boundary is I can do it once a month with a friend, like in a, in the ceremonial way that cannabis is used, Otherwise, it's just edibles. And honestly, like I've really slowed way down on my consumption because I think in some ways it's really good for healing. It's really good for grieving, but I'm not in, well, I mean, I guess I am in a grieving spot. Like I'm not in a grieving, I am in a grieving spot. And also like I think it was killing my ambition a little bit and I needed to fire her up a little bit. So we'll see. Like, um, it's just learning and adapting to my body. But it was interesting when I reflected on like when I started smoking, which was, I'm like a 30 something. I didn't start using cannabis regularly until I was in my 30s. And so like it was 13 years of smoking and then I stopped. But I also had 13 years of drinking and then I stopped. So it's really interesting how both of those kind of paralleled that. It's fine. I grieve that too. Grieve it so much. I love a joint. It's my favorite way to smoke. It's just a nice little classic joint. It's all right. Okay, so part of like the doubling down on fandom stuff is that like I kind of realized around the beginning of the year before Bobby passed, but then certainly he passed on the 10th. January 10th, same day as my father, 4 years later. And Bobby passing, like I had already thought like, oh, I think I need to have a Brandi Carlile budget. Because like her premium membership costs $50 a year, which is worth it. You get like bootlegs from the concerts. Like she is like there's so much access to fan community. And honestly, like I want to be in community with people who are passionate about the things that I'm passionate about. And like you get access to her pre-sale codes for her concerts, etc. Right? Like there's so many things in there. Um, Plus, like, she has this like weekend in Mexico called Girls Just Want a Weekend. It's her festival, and it is like, um, it's just I really want to go at least once, and it's like 3 grand just to go, plus like your airfare. So, right, like that's like a pretty big chunk of budget money. But then there's also like concerts and stuff, and like even going to like fan meetups. I went to my first Bramley, that's the name of her fandom meetup, over the holidays because she did a holiday live stream show for us because she promised the fandom that if her album charted in the top 10, she would do a holiday live stream, and we got her to number 7. I tithed my $25 and bought a CD. Because apparently buying tangible media, which by the way, I'm back to tangible media. I've talked about this on the podcast. Like I regret getting rid of my CD collection. Anyway, I bought my Brandi CD. It was $25. I tithed my $25. And it's like the only CD I have in my car and it sits in the door. So that it's just like every time I open the door of my driver's side, it's like Brandy's eyes in front of this album. Anyway, so it's like important and helpful for my manifestation. So I had booked a pet sit. Okay, so let's go all the way back. The Queen Herbie announces her tour dates. And May 29th is tomorrow. And that is her Seattle tour date. So, I was like so excited about it. And then like a day later, 2 days later, Brandi Carlile announces that she's going to be at the Gorge, which is a big venue in Washington State. I think it's like 3 hours away. I should probably know this. And it's about 3 hours away, on the Columbia River Gorge, and maybe it's 4 hours. It's 4 hours from my house to my friend Mindy's house, who lives in the Columbia River Gorge. So wherever the Gorge Amphitheater is, somewhere out there. Brandi considers it her hometown venue because she lives in the mountains outside of Seattle. And that's where she went to the Lilith Fair. And if you've seen the Lilith Fair documentary, highly recommend. It's on Disney Plus Hulu. She's in it, and they found footage of Brandy as a baby dyke at the Lilith Fair, which I just think is so charming. And your girl looked so hard for her in the crowd shots because I too was at the Lilith Fair, not the original one. Because Brandy went to the first one, the first ever one. It was at the Gorge. I went to the Lilith Fair in 1999 in the Bay Area. And I did not see me in any of the crowd pictures from the 1999 Lilith Fair footage, and I am sad about that. But I will tell you, this was me, peak fandom. 20, I think I was 20. I don't know, 19, 20, something like that. I think I was 20. I was screaming my little head off because Leisha Haley, who you probably know from the L Word, she played Alice on the L Word. The pre-L Word was in a band called the Murmurs and dating Katie Lang. And I screamed, I love the Murmurs. I still love the Murmurs. Both of their CDs are so good. And again, I regret getting rid of my CD collection. Why would I rely on Spotify? Why? Like, I just want to go back to when I was leaving Brooklyn because I was just trying to downsize, and just said, like, who cares about another Rubbermaid tote full of stuff? Like, keep your CDs, girl. Anyway, it's fine. It's fine. I can reassemble what I have. I found a season 3 Fraggle Rock DVD box set at Goodwill. Like, listen, we're well on our way. I got it was at the front row at the Lilith Fair side stage that Leisha Haley was playing at. And me and my friend Portia were there together, and I screamed, I love you, Leisha Haley, at the top of my little gay lungs. And I have no regrets. I was just living. This is the thing is like when I'm in my full enthusiasm, I don't need drugs. Like I wasn't doing drugs then. When I am in my full enthusiasm, I am like so like I don't even know how to describe it. It is like it's like a Winnie the Pooh like wiggling his booty eating honey. I don't know. It's just like such a radiant energy and like and I got there. I got there last week and I'm going to keep telling you this story. So, um Brandi Carlile announces her gorge dates. And so I realized there is oh God. I realized there's a conflict between Brandi Carlile, who is performing with Indigo Girls on May 29th, and Queen Herbie. But here's what. I chose Community actually over like because Indigo Girls are like probably one of my all-time favorite bands. I would say like Brandy at this point is my favorite singer and current band, but like Indigo Girls always forever. Like I've loved them since I was 14 years young. But I actually made a boundary with myself. And when I was living in Philadelphia, I went on a date with a girl. I'm gonna say her name. Her name was Jen. And I went on a date with Jen. I think it was our first date, and we bought tickets to Indigo Girls together. And then she did not show up for our Indigo Girls concert together, and I was annoyed. And I remember going, well, I think it's just like number one, like I was annoyed because like I wanted to keep dating her and she didn't come on this Indigo Girls concert date with me, and like which we bought tickets on our first date, which like I don't know. It was very it was ambitious. It was an ambitious choice. But I'm a Scorpio Venus. I'm all in. You know what I mean? Like so I go to this concert with my friends too. Like I had friends who went to the concert too. And I went to the concert and like I was really dissatisfied because I had seen Indigo Girls at several venues that were much more intimate than this whatever big amphitheater it was in Philadelphia. And so I like I was like number one, I don't want to see Indigo Girls with a lot of men if I can avoid it. That was the first thing. And number two, I was like I want to see them in small venues. And you know what? Like 2 years ago, I saw them at a venue in Port Townsend, Washington uh with 900 people. And so I maintain that I continue to see them in small venues. So the Gorge is not a small venue. And I really wanted to go to Queen Herbie because she was only playing them one night. And I really want to meet other bad bitches who love Queen Herbie. And like in talking, so my friend McKay, very good friend of mine, has been on this podcast before. Will hopefully be a guest again soon. We've talked about this. Anyway, so McKay is just like soul family to me. And I was definitely sending voice notes processing about this choice because McKay goes to a lot of concerts and has a lot of fan energy. And we were talking about because today is Queen Herbie Eve. This is this long awaited concert that I've been thinking about for months. And it's tomorrow. And so I'm so excited because as a Christmas Eve baby, I understand the Eve energy. And so McKay sent me a voice note about Happy Queen Herbie Eve. And we're processing about like when to arrive at the concert. And I was like, listen, we're general admission on the second floor. So getting there early so that we can stake out like a spot where it's easy for us to both sit and dance. I would like to be on an aisle, basically. And I wanted to get there early enough to scope out outfits and check people out because Queen Herbie's dress code is sailor, pirate, mermaid, or Mary Poppins. And I have managed to create a Sailor Mary Poppins outfit. I'm so excited. Um, okay, so that was like really splitting my heart into was deciding between like, it's Sophie's choice, King Solomon's choice. I don't know. Splitting the baby, I don't know, but I made the choice to go to Queen Herbie because I want to meet friends. So hopefully I intend to meet a lot of friends tomorrow night. Um, is it tonight yet? Not yet. It's almost midnight. Here we are at midnight having a slumber party together. Thanks for tuning into my podcast. Okay, so I made that choice, process with McKay. McKay ends up being my date for the concert, which I'm very excited about. And I'm really excited to see what outfit McKay puts together. They are like a sartorial masterclass. But as a double Libra, McKay is more like last minute-y than I am, whereas I'm like a Capricorn sun, Virgo rising, Scorpio moon. Like I am putting a lot of thought into everything. And a growth edge of mine is to release the need to figure anything out and just like go with the flow and trust where the vibe is taking me. That's what this whole tale is about. So the next week. So anyway, there's like also another night at the Gorge that was announced the same time, which was May 30th. And I was like, oh, if I'm really lucky, maybe I'll get to go to Queen Herbie and Brandi at the Gorge. And then a third night was announced, which is the High Women, which is Brandy's super group with like Maren Morris and then Natalie. Oh, I forget the other two names. Oh, I feel like a bad fan, but that's all right. Anyway, what's funny too is I was a High Women fan before I realized Brandi Carlile was in it. Isn't that funny? I read Brandy's book and she talked about the High Women. I read her book in 2023. I'm a 2023 Brandi fan. So like I am like new to the game, whereas she has been in the game for like 26 years. So, or longer actually, because she was performing a lot longer before she became a band with Tim and Phil Hanseroth, who I also adore. Anyway, so like she talked about the High Women in her book, and I was like, wait, oh my God, I've been listening to her this whole time, and I didn't realize it was Brandi Carlile in this group. Anyway, there was also an Indigo Girls track that she's on from like 2011 that I also did not realize she was on it because she's not listed on the Spotify. Another CD I regret getting rid of. Okay. Um, maybe I should title this podcast All the CDs I Regret getting rid of. So, okay, so the High Women are Sunday, so it's like a whole 3-day weekend at the Gorge. And I have been working on this theory for a while now since I went to that Indigo Girls concert with a friend of mine who was like, someone said that the Indigo Girls are the lesbian Grateful Dead. And I immediately was like, no. Because if they were the lesbian Grateful Dead, I would have been swept up into an Indigo Girls Deadhead style like caravan at 16 years young. You know what I mean? That did not happen for me. And it didn't really exist, you know what I mean? Like, because it's like what the Deadheads are with the dead is like a self-organizing like I don't know. I feel like the Dead is more than a band. It's like metaphysical folklore. And that's like where everyone puts their energy and effort into this thing that they're creating together. And now it's been 61 years of the Dead. That's a lot of development of this folklore, right? And like I think Brandi Carlile is it. I think she is the lesbian Grateful Dead. So like I like deeply wanted to go to the Gorge just to like test out this theory, you know what I mean? Like to see what it's like to go to multiple nights. I also could listen to the same five songs perform live like all the time. You know what I mean? Like it's fine. I love Brandi that much. So, and her songbook is so epic. Anyway, I have this whole theory. I'm gonna write out a whole thing. So, um, I was like, how can I even make the Gorge happen, right? Like, because I didn't have the money, to like make it happen when the tickets went on sale. So I was like, but I trust the Bramley app because honestly, people are always selling their tickets last minute. So I was just like, let's just see how this works out. So, like 2 weeks later, No, the next week, I'm gonna just give you my life experience, how I experienced this. So the next week, I book a pet sit for May, for a week long, for this cat, and like this isn't the first time I've had an elder pet sit where we've talked about like, okay, the cat could pass away. Here's the protocol if that happens while you're sitting for the cat, meow meow meow, right? So it's like this I've had 3 or 4 different sits where like it's I kind of specialize in special needs and elder pets, and pets who need like good care. I am the pet sitter I always wanted for pets, right? I'm a work from home person typically. And anyway, so like we had this discussion. So like days after I booked this pet sit, Brandi announces 2 days in Bend, Oregon with Kristen Key, my favorite comic. Kristen Key is hilarious, and she performed in my neighborhood because we have this really good concert curator, who's kind of retired from doing it, but thankfully in her last couple of years she booked Kristen Key to come up here. And Kristen loves pets. She does a lot of comedy about pets and lesbians and all this kind of stuff. And all of the women in my neighborhood were so excited after the concert. They brought their dogs to see Kristen and do meet and greet with Kristen after the concert, which was probably her heaven, was to get to perform and then meet everyone's dogs. I would love it. And that's one of my favorite things actually about teaching aerobics on Zoom is that I get to meet everyone's pets because like they can bring them to aerobics because it's in their living room. Oh my God, when a cat is on a Zoom, it's good luck. So when Kristen Key, oh, and so I invited Kristen Key up to my house. I said, if you want to come to my house, to my gardens, gay gardens, I would love for you to meet my cat, Biscuit Reynolds. And so she got to meet Biscuit Reynolds, my feline overlord. And he was in his like final 6 months of life. I didn't know at the time. But she got to meet him and hold him, and she was so sweet with him. And so like cemented herself in that moment as my favorite comedian. And so like, come on, Brandi Carlile performing with my favorite comedian. I'm like, for 2 nights in Bend, Oregon, a drivable distance, 7 hours south of me. I was like, I want it, but I'm sitting for this elderly cat. And like, I was really torn because I did not manifest this cat dying. I want to make this very clear. I did not manifest that cat dying. However, um, so I had like pet sit set up for me, like being like having I use pet sitting as like a giant supplement to my income because frankly, Fat Kid Dance Party, my aerobics class, has not been paying the bills for a long time. My Patreon page, which is the best way to support this podcast. What a great segue to talk about my financial instability, but also my amazing Patreon page, patreon.com/FKDP. It is it stands for Fat Kid Dance Party, my aerobics class, but it is a great way to support creators that you love. I am so grateful for everyone who supports my Patreon page. It has always paid the rent, right? Maybe the rent and the internet, maybe with gusts of up to the electric bill. You know what I mean? And sometimes, like I do in-person classes, and I can make some more money, but like things have been crickets lately, like with my in-person classes. It's been a big bummer. And it's it's fine. I get it. Like a lot of small businesses are struggling. People are just like not coming out for stuff. And like I'm just trying to figure out like how to cobble together my income, but also prioritize this thing that is my soul's calling, and work that matters to me. And my art and activism has always been something that essentially like my work for money has supported. So the fact that I can pay even some bills with it makes me very grateful. And I'm so grateful to anyone out there who supports any part of what I do, in my work. So thank you. So anyway, like the pet sitting has been a real goddess send to make it possible for me to keep doing that work and like create free content for people on the internet and that kind of thing. So, I like had all these, so like I need like 9 days of pet sits to like really like make sure that my bills are paid, and I live very frugally, so like my bills are not extravagant. Like my budget is under $1,500 a month, which is kind of wild. I do pay more for supplements and my nutritional resources than I do for my rent. My rent is like very much like I'm so grateful. I mean, I live in an RV, like you know what I mean? Like I live rurally, like I don't live close to stuff. Like there are sacrifices I've made in my life to make it possible for me to do the art and work that matters to me. Okay, so I need like these amounts of pet sits, right? So like in April, I had a pet sit get canceled and I was like, oh man, that sucks. And that was gonna set me up to like, travel some and like, get things together. So that got canceled. I'm very grateful. I pet sat for my mom and she paid me my full rate, which I actually wasn't expecting. I was expecting friends and family rate. And so that actually like was a big relief that she paid that. And then I had a pet sit in May, like a good, really good paying pet sit get canceled. And these are all for different reasons. One was like, we don't want to travel because of the ice stuff in the airports. And then this last one was like a work thing came up. And then it is like end of April. I'm like kind of like trying to figure out my life. My friend Shyla, who has been on this podcast, was in town and it was my Beltane ceremony at my women's circle. And I was so glad to get to share that with her and then get to have a meal with her and her sweetie. And then I'm getting in the car after this meal. So it's like she's always part of the story for me. I get in the car and that's when I get the email that the cat passed away. So my cat sit that was preventing me from going to the Brandi Carlile Kristen Key show was canceled. So here's an obstacle out of the way, but a new obstacle appears, which is that like I don't have money to pay my bills, like all my bills. And like how am I gonna pay to get to Bend, Oregon and get tickets and all these things, right? So I went into problem solver mode. I was just like, you know what? I'm just gonna like have blinders on. I'm gonna be like Brandy. You know what I mean? And I had also committed to going to Vermont to a Glowing Goddess Sisterhood event, and I'd already paid for most of my ticket, and like, but I hadn't yet paid for my flight. So like, I wanted to go to Vermont, and that was already like kind of precarious because of the pet sits getting canceled. And then so I was like, how can I make this happen? So I just like rallied. I like started door dashing. I've been door dashing casually for a while, but I like started door dashing like it was my job because it was my way to trade time for money. Because sometimes it does. I will tell you, it's not the best hourly rate. Like there's a lot of lag time. Even tonight, I was dashing. I probably did 6 hours, and I had probably about 3 hours of downtime during the dash, which is annoying. But I still made like I can't believe it, but I made $100, which like on a weeknight, that was pretty great. So I managed to make some pretty good money, but I did wait around a lot. Um, so all that to say, like, I didn't know how it was gonna come together because like door dashing again is like fishing. It's like sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not. So, but I was like really hustling hard, and I like talked to the internet. I was talking to my Instagram stories a lot about like what I wanted to do, what I was aiming for. I don't know if this can happen, blah blah blah. And like meanwhile, like I'm going through like personal heartbreak and difficulties and like I'm just like it was May was a rough month and a beautiful month, like all at once. And I'll tell you, like to DoorDash in a time of year when all the spring colors are out and all the beautiful things are blooming and I can stop and smell lilacs, which is like one of my favorite things to do. So there was a lot of good things, and that's what I focus on is the good things. And I can't believe it, but like things were coming together. I couldn't even confirm a week before that I was for sure going to be able to make it to Oregon, but I did manage to get the flight booked for Vermont. Like I got like, I did like a distance pet Reiki thing for a friend who like randomly reached out and like that and she paid me double what I thought she was gonna pay. And so that's what like really put me over the edge. I got a couple of gifts. Someone pre-purchased a couple of psychic medium and Reiki sessions for me. So like things happened and came together and like I was able to get my flight for less than what I had originally looked at it for my Vermont trip. So that was great. And I like managed to get things together in order to go to Bend to see Brandy. And I left town on Tuesday. So the shows were Wednesday and Thursday of last week. May 20th and 21st, forever in my memory. And I left on Tuesday to stay at my friend's house in the Columbia River Gorge. I did not have tickets yet. I had been trying. I'd been reaching out to some people to try to buy their tickets off them from the Bramley app. And I also didn't have a hotel booked. But I'd been looking at a place through orbits.com. I will tell you, not sponsored, but I love Orbits because like I just feel like I get good deals and I make orb bucks whenever I spend like when I buy my flights through them and when I buy my hotels through them. And those orb bucks have come in like clutch on things like this. So like I managed to like So my hotel, when I was looking it up on Tuesday to book it for Wednesday, um, my hotel like went down in price from the previous price I'd seen. It was like $4 less per night. And then when I went to book Orbitz, I think was like really like, no, we really want you to book this. So like they gave me an extra discount. And I've applied my like $12 in Orbucks. So like everything like doop, boop, boop, just like made it less than what I had budgeted for. And then gas was even cheaper than what I had budgeted for. So by the time like it's 5.70 up here at the very cheapest gas station you can get it at. And it was like $5.29 when I hit Central Washington, which was really great because I'd budgeted for it to be 5.70 the whole way. And then when I was in Oregon, the gas station that happened to be next to my motel. It was a motel. It wasn't fancy. Um, it had, and it said it included breakfast, but I will tell you, like, it was nothing like worth writing home about. It was like packets of oatmeal. And you know what? I didn't spend my own 30 cents on packets of oatmeal. I used their packets of oatmeal. But I did think that I was getting something included in my oatmeal. It was fine. Not no fruit, nothing like there were cereal if I wanted cereal, which I did not. So anyway, but the gas next door to my motel was like $4.85 a gallon. So it's just like all those little things. Plus on DoorDash right now, they're offering Dasher like gas relief. So like if you use their bank account, because they have like, everyone's got a bank account now attached to their thing. So if you use their bank account and their card, you get 10% cash back at the pump, which is not nothing. And it's really helpful when you're like dashing 100. I drove 100 miles to make $100 today. So it's the mileage on DoorDash does not make any sense. It's kind of like how Walmart pays their employees less than like what they would need to make to not qualify for government healthcare assistance and food stamps. So essentially, Walmart subsidizes their employees through government assistance. And then they also like are the largest retailer that receives food assistance benefits. So they like triple dip on all of that kind of stuff. And it's just the way the system is set up. And so like DoorDash, like if you deduct your miles, you end up not making money on DoorDash. Because I track my mileage because like I'm wear and tear on my car, like that stuff matters to me, right? So but it's just all the way that these gig economies like are essentially subsidized by our tax dollars, and we could just have universal health care. Anyway, that's a different topic, a different rant for a different day. But I want to tell you about the miracles that kept lighting up at Brandi Carlile. So not only was I getting, and I got my tickets the night before the thing too. Like some folks couldn't go because someone was in a hospital, which I felt bad about, but I felt grateful to get to buy their tickets for 2 nights for $75, which was so great. And then like when I got to the concert, the people sitting next to me got them for free. Like, so basically they were giving away, they had a 4 pack of tickets and they were giving them away in the end. So I'm glad I got what I got. And Brandi called on me for the first request that night. She had done requests on her human tour, the first leg. This was the first night of the second leg of the human tour. And I'd always known what request I wanted, and like then, and being a professional Muppet arm waver, I wave my arms like a Muppet, like in aerobics at least once a week for the last 9 years. And that is when she called for requests. That is exactly what I did. I leapt to my feet and I waved my arms in the air. And because the people around me were like pretty lukewarm about, I mean, they were the kind of people who were at a concert because they were at a concert, or like, oh, let's go to Brandi Carlile, not like, oh my God, let's go see our goddess, Brandi Carlile, like I wanted to be sitting with those people. So because I was with these lukewarm people, I really stood out in my cute little pink sweatshirt. So my heated rivalry sweatshirt, my lucky sweatshirt, waving my arms in the air. Brandi called on me first. My request was before it breaks. And we were in Bend, Oregon, and the lyric is "Let it bend before it breaks," which honestly is my great life lesson right now. Like you don't have to have anything lined up. You just gotta like trust and flow and trust that it all comes together. And I'll say it was also like so many things lined up too. Like I was really grateful to get to spend time with my friend who I stayed with the night before the concert. Catching up with her was like super important in my heart and soul. And also Brandi produced. So this is why like I think the Bramley actually might be stronger and more dedicated and more and even more effective than the Deadheads. And I think that is saying a lot because the Deadheads are incredible. But the Grateful Dead never set up a softball game. You know what I mean? Like for or a baseball game, I should say it was baseball. 2 days of baseball games. You know what I mean? So like I think giving you when you develop, I study the way people develop community. And when you give people some structure, but then allow them the freedom to like continue to self-organize, that's when the real magic happens. So I don't know who came up with the term Bramley. Typically people's fandoms like come up with their own moniker. And but the fact that she like created Bramley baseball games in Bend, Oregon was like so fun. I like truly dislike sports so much. I'm a dancing gay, not a sports gay. But I had the time of my life. It was so fun. And like having if every sports game was like announced by comedians. Like Kristen Key and Brandi Carlile do not know much about baseball. They know more than me, but they do not know anything. They were calling things wrong. Like it was really funny. I think at a minimum, maybe before next year, they should learn what the umpires are doing with their arms because the umpires are clearly flagging stuff, but they didn't know what they were flagging. Anyway, I had so much fun. And like day one, there weren't as many people at the baseball game as there were day two. But day two, I ended up like getting into some really good, deep conversations, exchanged phone numbers with people. Like these were the friends that I wanted to make on a solo Bramley trip. You know what I mean? Like I was like hoping to make Brandi Carlile fan friends. So everything worked out for me. I even was able to DoorDash when I was in Bend, Oregon. So I made some money, which I then like turned around and spent it on eating out because like that's how much it costs to eat out. It's like 3 or 4 hours of labor. Um, but I was out of town, and so at least there was money coming in. And Brandi kept saying at the baseball game, she's like, "I can't believe you guys got off work today." And I was like, "Speak for yourself. I'm working." I DoorDash between the baseball game and the concert because I couldn't check into my hotel anyway. And it was a great way to get around Bend and see things. And then I did some work at the hotel the next morning. So I had like stuff to post for my Patreon and stuff. So anyway, I had always wanted to become a digital nomad, and I certainly am now. So I can work from anywhere. And anyway, so that was my like miracle time. Oh, here, no, there's more to say. So I was so high off of my first Brandi concert, first time at a concert, and she called on me for my request. I felt so uh, just like I had been having such a struggle the week before. You know, like I was really like I like to say this instead of like cycling or spiraling, like I'm taking ground because like I'm not going to come back to this. Like I might come back to something similar to this, but I will have more emotional experience and more emotional maturity because I've gone through stuff, more stuff, right? Like I grow. I don't like I don't cycle. You know what I mean? Like I'm really like learning how to speak taking ground, you know? So I was taking ground and really hurting and like really just like having grind days in the hot sun in my car, you know? But I was doing the thing and I was working hard towards something that really mattered to me. And I'm really grateful that I was able to do it. And so Brandy calling on me was like, it was like a high five from the goddess. It really was. And it was sunset. It was just so beautiful. And it's a piano song. And she said it was hard. And I love calling people up to the thing I know they can do. Because I can really see, like in my psychic medium readings, like I can really see people's potential, which is like not great for dating. But it is pretty good when you can like empower people to do the thing you know that they can do. So anyway, so she played it. It was great. And so many people gave me compliments on that request that night, which I was so grateful to get those compliments. And like she hadn't played it in years. And like here's the thing, this is deadhead culture because like people like would be like, oh, they haven't played Dark Star, meow meow, right? Like that is the kind of thing that like that's what a fan community creates, like a demand for it. And so frankly, my new demand for the Bramley like powers that be is like please give us her concert recordings. I want to hear every single one of them. I want to hear every version of the joke. You know what I mean? Like I want to have an opinion about which one's the best because I probably do. um Night two of the concert, one of the requests was Sugar Tooth, which honestly, the version that she sang, which they hadn't done that song in a long time, she had to have the lyrics put up by Kelly, her wizard. I don't know what Kelly does for her, but like Kelly is like a wizard, like assistant manager. I don't know what she does. She's not the manager because Catherine's the manager, but Catherine's her wife.
But I don't know what Kelly does, but Kelly does everything. She was the one who planned the baseball games. She was the one that told Brandi, we got to close this baseball game down at 12:40 because like they were gonna play till 1 p.m. It went from 11 to 1 p.m. But like something about how the innings work, like basically if the innings were done by a certain time. Anyway, Kelly was like, it's time to shut this down. She tried it again on day two at the baseball game, but then Phil intervened and said, we need to finish this inning. So they did because bases were loaded and it was a nail biter. We didn't know who was gonna win that game. Um, anyway, it was so fun. So, anyway, so Kelly is backstage, like while they're getting requests, putting the lyrics up on some kind of like teleprompter thing you do. Sugar Tooth is a complex song. It's a storytelling song. And it's a really good song. But I believe that the version that she sang in Bend, Oregon on May 21st was the best version, compared to the only other version I've heard, which is the recorded version. So because her voice is different. Like there's again, like Bobby Weir, there's a timbre to it. There's like a resonance that wasn't there before. So anyway, that's my wish is that we get all the concert recordings, just like the Dead have done. Um, okay, so here's what I did. I impulse bought. After the concert, I was so excited on the 20th. I bought the VIP experience for the next day. The VIP experience is something they offer. It's like where you get to go to sound check. And it's the VIP sound check experience, which I had heard about since I first became a Brandy fan. And I was in the process of trying to figure out like how to interact with the internet. Because as someone who has been a creator on the internet since 2002, it's a very long time, decades, I have like had to reorient myself away from caring what everyone thinks to really creating for the people who matter. And it's not like everyone doesn't matter. Everyone matters. But like the people whose opinion matters and who I'm driving the connection towards is like, and I've been calling it this, the Brandi Carlile soundcheck experience people, which is like the fans who love your stuff so much they want to pay to come to your soundcheck. Because like I could listen to her noodle on the piano all day. Like I could listen to her like work stuff out with her band. Like I don't care how many times I heard her sing I Can't Make You Love Me live. In the course of 2 days between the soundcheck experience and the two concerts, I think it was 5 times I heard that live. And I loved every second of it. You know what I mean? I heard them. They played Swing for the Fences, which is a song she wrote with Elton John, like 800 times at both baseball games. And then they played it like 3 times at soundcheck, and then they played it at the concert that night. It was still not enough times. So many times. I could listen to that song so many times. So anyway, I like impulse bought that VIP experience. I was like 150 bucks, I'll figure it out. And like what's fun is that I spent the 150 bucks, had the time of my life at the sound check where you get to go be in the first like 4 rows of the concert venue and like experience it. And she was so generous with her time. She gave us like an extra 24 minutes on that sound check. We were supposed to get an hour, we got an hour 24. And we also got like re-entry to the venue. We got a signed exclusive poster for the show. So that was my merch, like this thing that I like treasure. I can't, it's too big for my home. Like there is not a surface in this RV that is big enough for this poster. So at some point I will have a real people home again. This is a real people home. I don't want to say that. I will have a home with insulated walls that are big enough to hold heavy art, and I will frame it and I will put it up because this was the time of my life. We also take a picture with Brandi, which I still haven't seen, but I was wearing a neon dress. You cannot miss me. And I was like in my joy bag. I was so happy. I was like, she gave rules. So Kelly, the Jill of all trades who runs things, she actually told me when she was checking me in, she was like, we were supposed to turn off the VIP sound check thing. And I was like, well, I guess it was fate that wanted me here because it was fate that wanted me here. So I look at all the miracles that came through for me. So, it was best 150 bucks I ever spent. So you get early reentry back into the venue. And because I got early reentry, I came in like at the head of the crowd and I saw this booth for the venue that said seat upgrades. And I was like, what's that? And so I went up for $10. You can upgrade your seat. And so I ended up getting fourth row. So I was able to be with the screaming Brandy fans. And thank you, universe, for all of that coming together. And by the very next day, I was gifted the money that I had spent. And then some actually from a friend of mine who shares her bonuses with me when she gets bonuses at work. So it's not stuff you can count on. It's just a nice gift. And like, look at how the universe kind of balances things out. You know what I mean? Like you create a vacuum and then it gets filled. So I had the time of my life. I like can't even like I'm still riding this high and I'm like actually intentionally juicing it because like things, things low level is still hard, somewhat processing some big feels, processing some childhood wounding. There's how like kids really need their parents to be delighted by them. Like that's actually a need kids have. Like those are wounds that come back up as a grown up. You know what I mean? Like so like I have, and then I've been also offered like this like really cool, two of my teachers taught the same thing within the same week about like when there's hard things in your past, an old story. I'm going to teach it to you right now. When you have an old story in your past and it comes up in your brain, instead of repeating the old story, which like again, that's a teaching you hear all the time is like release the old story, right? Instead of repeating the old story, go in and just like this isn't don't dwell on it. Don't spend more than like 5 to 30 seconds on this, but go in and visualize it working out better. Visualize what like ideal scenario would have happened. Like hard thing in your childhood, be the sensitive, tender grown up to go be with your inner child and talk to them about their feelings. I had like this experience as a child. I don't like fish. Fish is a nightmare to me. Like, I don't like eating it. I hate the taste of it. The taste of salmon, I accidentally ate a salmon appetizer like 2 years ago. I can still taste it in my mouth. It's horrifying. Like, I get that people love salmon and I'm happy for you, but I feel like it's like that thing where for some people cilantro tastes like soap. I just don't like it. I really don't like salmon. Oh man. Salmon are cute. Salmon are the wisdom keepers. Fish are my friends. You know what I mean? I think it's like past life stuff for me, but I'm a no on fish. I don't want to smell it cooking. Gross. So I had so many grown-ups punish me for not wanting to eat fish as a child, and it's very traumatizing. And so like one of those moments, I just went back and I was the grown-up that like took my inner child by the hand, took her because like this is like a belonging wound when you get sent to your room because you won't eat the thing. It's such a dumb thing to punish a kid for. Anyway, so like I brought myself back to the kitchen and sat her down and had her like asked her if she wanted to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich or if she wanted me to make her one. And you know what I mean? Like that is the treatment that I should have gotten. And multiple grown-ups did this to me. So, or didn't do that for me, but did punish me for the fish thing. Anyway, that's just one of the old stories I've been shape-shifting in my work recently. So I hope that you use that. Have it in your toolbox because it's a good one. Thank you so much for spending the last hour of your life with me. This has been a delight for me to share. And I hope it has been a delight for you to receive. Thank you for tuning in. Please like and subscribe if that is something that's available for you to do. That makes a huge difference in the algorithms to introduce me to new people who might be benefited by my work. Please also follow me on the interwebs, Bevin's Party on most things. Those also help. I've recently been delighting in the TikTok algorithm because it is a great way to get connected to new work. And so, and sometimes you get favored by them and sometimes you don't, but being favored by the algorithm isn't the same as word of mouth. So telling people about my stuff is like actually the only kind of marketing that works these days. But and also like going and directly liking things because you like me and want to seek me out on there would be so great. I wish blessings upon you. If you know Estelle, she's a puppet from TikTok. I can't describe Estelle, but she uses the term blessings upon you, or blessings upon, and I just love it so much, so I've adopted it into my vernacular. So blessings upon you. Thank you for being here. And I'll probably be back soon to talk about Queen Herbie. Okay. Bye, everybody.